Technical difficulties. All right, there we go. Okay, well, welcome. Welcome to this evening's WebEx, or maybe this afternoon's WebEx, depending on where you are in the country. My name is Wendy Zuber. I'm a teaching and learning or education consultant with Promethean. I've been with Promethean for about 8 years. I'm a former middle school and high school science teacher, so we're glad to have you with us tonight. Hopefully this session will be beneficial in introducing you to the Promethean ActivPanel Touch and providing you with some getting started resources, both from an instructional standpoint and from more of a technical standpoint, if you will. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. My email address is on the screen. I'll put that same email address up at the end. Should you have any questions after the session is over, please feel free to reach out to me, and I can certainly respond back or get you to the right person who can provide you with an answer. Just want to sort of go over a basic overview of the actual hardware so that you're aware of all the great features that come with the Promethean ActivPanel Touch. As you probably already know or may have already known, the ActivPanel Touch comes with the ability to have up to 10 touch points, which means you can have multi-users using it. So get kiddos up there, get lots of them up there, allow them to collaborate and interact with each other. But just so that you know, you've got that capability to do that. And specifically, providing 10 touch points of use is available in both of our softwares that come with the product as well. The ActivInspire software will support that, as well as ClassFlow will support that. So if you're looking for those types of programs to support that type of collaboration and learning, we do provide both of those for you as well. You may already also be aware that there are 4 HDMI ports on the panel, which is really nice because it allows you to connect those multiple devices and just toggle between them with just the flip of your source switch by pressing a button. You don't have to worry about disconnecting anything or reconnecting anything. Just simply switch that source button if you've got a computer and a DVD player or a Blu-ray player connected to the panel. Super easy as well. This panel is going to last you quite a while. You're not going to have to replace any bulbs, which is awesome. No projector replacement, maintenance, or repairs. So you've got about 50,000 life hours with this unit, so it should last a pretty good while as well. Basic setup of your hardware. I want to make sure that everybody's really good to go with the technical setup of the hardware just so that you're capable of using it to its fullest. So I'm just going to show you this page. I'm not going to actually play this video, but I want to make you aware that if you're a part of our Try Before You Buy program, perhaps by now you actually have your panel set up, hopefully, and perhaps it is set up on a mobile stand or a mobile cart, and that may have been done for you or it may not. So if your mobile stand or mobile cart has not yet been installed, please be aware that I will be sending you a document post-WebEx today, and in that document is a link to this particular video, which is step-by-step instructions for setting up that mobile stand, just as a reference for you should you need it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the panel. On the back side of the panel, if you're looking at it from behind, in the bottom right-hand corner, there's actually your control or your input plug features on that bottom corner, and so they sort of form this little L bracket of input. And let me switch tools here real quickly. Not white, but maybe a different tool. So this is actually this panel here, and then the longer panel is down here. But you'll notice that you've got lots of different types of inputs available on the panel itself. You certainly have your HDMI ports. You've got 4 of those. You also are going to want to be cognizant of your USB connecting port as well, because that's going to be a really crucial port for you to plug in. Regarding your HDMI ports, it really doesn't matter which one you're plugging into. There are multiple ones. You can plug your computer or your laptop into the HDMI ports, but you'll also notice that should you not have an HDMI compatible computer or laptop, you've still got your VGA inputs as well on the device. You've also got lots of other media outlet components as well, and the ability to input sound in a sound jack as well. So you've got all kinds of inputs on the back here that will be useful to you as you're plugging it in. So let's talk about the ones that you need to absolutely make sure that you get plugged in for it to work. You're definitely going to always have to have a minimum of 2 cables plugged into your laptop and into the panel, or to your computer and into the panel. The first is the USB. So you're going to have a USB that's going to plug into the panel and then into your computer or laptop. This USB is super important because that's what relays the touch mechanism to the panel screen and back and forth to your computer, so that as you're touching the screen, it's actually opening and manipulating content and applications on your computer. The second piece that you'll need to make sure that you input is your video display. So the video display can be done in one of two ways. If you have HDMI compatible computer or laptop, you can use the HDMI port on the panel as well. Certainly HDMI will give you a super high quality capabilities with your imaging. But should you not have the HDMI capabilities on your laptop or computer, that's okay. You can certainly connect via VGA as well. The same sort of VGA cabling that you would use with a projector setup is available on the back of the panel. Should you use the VGA cabling to display your visual component, you're going to want to make sure, and I'm going to put a big old plus sign here. If you do VGA, you've also got to make sure that you also plug in a PC audio cable to the back of the panel from your computer. Otherwise, you won't hear sound coming through the front speakers of your panel. If you're using HDMI, you don't need a separate PC audio cable because the sound will actually travel into the panel via the HDMI cabling as well. So you're good to go there. A couple of quick things about powering on the panel. In the lower left-hand corner, again, we're still on the back side of the panel here, so looking at it from behind. In the lower back corner of the panel, that is where the power plug source comes in. So you simply plug in that power source, and then there'll be a little tail that plugs into your wall outlet. Then follow that up with on the lower left-hand side of the panel, you'll see there's actually a power button. It is a toggle button. You just flip that switch on, and once it's on the front panel of on the front part of the panel, you'll notice that there's a little red light that will show up, letting you know that there is a power. There is power being received by the panel, and then it's ready for actually being turned on in the method that you would turn on a TV. So the last step here would then be to turn it on using the power button either on the remote, or you don't have to use the remote. You can use the power button that's right on the front of the panel itself in the lower right-hand corner as you're looking at the panel. All right, once we've got it powered on, everything's cabled in. Let me just give you a quick teacher tip about the remote. One of the things that I really like about the remote, that is, there is a tool on the remote, or a button on the remote, I should say, called the freeze button. It's right there, right in the middle above the arrow and menu keys. And the freeze button is an awesome button for teachers. If you've been using a projector that has a freeze button capability, you're probably familiar with this. But in essence, it allows you to freeze the image that is currently being seen on the panel, and then allow you to go over to your computer and navigate away from that image, maybe check email, put in grades, do attendance. And the students would never see that on the panel. They would still see the last image that you froze up on the panel screen itself. So that's just a great teacher tip tool. The cool thing about this remote, though, is that should you happen to lose the remote, misplace the remote, batteries die on the remote, any of those things that could happen in a classroom setting, you don't really have to worry too much because you've got some great menu source. All the main menu source options are right on the front of the panel on the right-hand corner, and they will all do the same things that you can do on the remote. You can turn the remote on and off. You can access the menu, manipulate the volume, get into the source and change the source components, and toggle back and forth throughout the menu. So you've got lots of choices, lots of options as far as still being able to control, power on, and manage the panel without having to use the remote, for sure. Excuse me. Next, let's just talk about the care of your panel. It is a very durable surface meant to be and intended to be used in the classroom by students and teachers on a regular and daily basis. So with that being said, it's going to probably get dirty and grimy, lots of finger touches and whatnot on the screen. So we recommend using a microfiber cloth or a soft cotton cloth just to sort of wipe those off. Should you have a little bit more dust, dirt, and grime, then we'll come off with just a dry microfiber cloth. You can certainly dampen that cloth a little bit with water to pull that dirt and grime off. It is a TV surface with a 4mm etched glass on the top of it, and it's also coated with our ActivPanel technology, which creates this smooth sort of surface on top for anti-glare as well. So we want to avoid things that are abrasive or corrosive in nature, but just something nice and soft like a microfiber cloth, lightly dampened. If you do dampen it and use water, of course, I'd be remiss without saying, make sure you turn it off and unplug it. It is powered by electricity, so we don't want anything unusual to happen if you're using a damp cloth. So just take any precautions necessary to keep yourself safe. All right. Let's talk about the actual pen that comes with the ActivPanel. So the pen, there is a pen that comes with the ActivPanel. It's a stylus, just like the one you see here on the screen. It behaves just like your finger will as a panel. So the finger and the pen are really interchangeable as far as how they behave and work together. If you take your finger and you tap it once on the screen, that counts as a left click. If you tap it twice in the same spot, that will count as a double left click. So if you think about your mouse, I'm talking about the left click on your mouse in that instance. Should you want to right-click, if you're on a Windows computer and you would like to right-click while you're up at the panel, if you'll just take the pen or stylus and hold the tip of that pen or stylus in the same location on the screen for approximately about 3 seconds, it will call up a right-click menu for you. The same thing holds true of your finger. If you take your finger and just hold it or press it to the screen surface in the same location for about 3-second pause, it too will call up a right-click menu on a Windows computer. So hopefully that will give you some functionality there as well. Some of you may have a digital pen. We're not going to cover the digital pen in today's session. If you have a digital pen, we can certainly find some and talk to you about providing additional resources for utilizing that as well. All right, so that's the technical part. So not too technical, really, for that matter. The panel itself is plug and play. You should be able to plug everything in and be ready to rock and roll. No calibration is necessary, so you should be good to go there. You may want to adjust or may want to look at adjusting the resolution of your computer. Some computer screens have different resolutions that will show better on the panel. The panel is designed for high definition, widescreen viewing. So again, just play around with your screen resolutions on your computers and find the one that works best for you. And I think you'll enjoy that there. It more than likely will automatically default to the best setting on your computer for you when you plug in and are ready to roll. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you guys to a couple of our teaching and learning tools that are available to you to help you get started, and just give you a couple tips and tricks on how to access these and how to get started using them as we go. You're going to see here we've got two really great, both are award-winning software lesson development tools out there. Available for use with our product. The ActivInspire software is what I'm going to start with first this evening and sort of go through that really quickly. First things first, you've got to download the ActivInspire software. It is a software that lives locally onto your computer, so it's something that needs to be downloaded and then installed onto the computer to be able to run. To download ActivInspire and all of the support drivers that go along with that, you're going to want to visit this website right here, support.prometheanworld.com. Lucky for you guys, I think I actually have it up here behind me. I'm going to pull it up here. There we go. Oh, gosh, where did it go? There it is. Okay, so support.prometheanworld.com is our support website here. So when you actually go there, it brings you to our main landing page here. And you'll notice at the very top, we've got some easy to click on menus across the top of the screen. The first one that we'll come to from left to right is the one that says interactive flat panels here. This will give you some information about the ActivPanel. So if you click on the ActivPanel itself, it will drop you right into that particular page with some support documentation, including the user guide, specification sheets, lots of articles, other manuals and documents. And probably most importantly is upon purchasing your ActivPanel, if you haven't done so already, you're going to want to make sure that you register this product upon purchasing it. Registering the product and going through this registration process actually enhances the standard warranty that comes with it. So there is a standard 1-year warranty of support that comes with the ActivPanel. However, when you register it, that 1-year warranty turns into 3. So you're definitely going to want to register it to get that extended warranty component. Additionally, when you register your product, that warranty also turns into what we call an on-site support warranty, where we'll send somebody out to fix it if something's wrong with it. And if we can't fix it, we'll replace it, take it off the wall, put a new one up for you, and send the old one back. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you register that product so that you get the full advantage of our enhancement of our warranty with that. Okay, so let's move on down the line here. I'm going to go all the way over to the right where it says Software Solutions. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Software Solutions. And you'll see here that right in the middle is our ActivInspire software. I'm going to click on ActivInspire. And when I do that, it changes my screen below so that I'm looking at the ActivInspire page. The first thing you'll notice is that it says Download ActivInspire. So this is the process you're going to go through to download the ActivInspire software. Once you download the ActivInspire software and you click on it to run it, launch it, or install it, you're going to go through the installation process, and finally it will provide for you on your desktop the icon of the ActivInspire software. And the first time you click that icon to open it, it will prompt you for a serial code number for the program. Now, lucky you guys, I had too much going on here. Lucky you guys, on your ActivPanel in the lower left-hand corner at the front of your ActivPanel, there's a sticker. And that sticker actually has the ActivInspire serial code on it. So that's what you're going to use as your serial code the first time you open and launch the ActivInspire program. The last thing I want to mention is after you've downloaded the ActivInspire software, I strongly encourage you guys to download and take a look at the ActivInspire resource pack. It can also be found right there on that Promethean support page at support.prometheanworld.com. It's right next to the Download ActivInspire button. It's called the ActivInspire Resource Pack. Do this after you've downloaded the software so that when you're done downloading the resource pack, you can go ahead and run it and install it. It does install and into the ActivInspire software, so that's why that makes sense to do this one first and then this one second. And I'll talk a little bit more about the resource pack and why that's such a great addition to your teaching toolbox. All right, let's talk a little bit about ActivInspire. I'm actually going to start with a blank flip chart in ActivInspire, and I had just done a previous WebEx, so I'm going to, pardon me while I kind of clean up here a little bit, but I've got some stuff open still. All right, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and start with opening up a blank document and just kind of showing you how ActivInspire will launch the first time that you open the program. So in this instance, I'm just going to go to File and New just to show you. But the first time you open the ActivInspire software, this is exactly how the program will open. When you double-click on the icon on your desktop, it will open up a blank white screen for you. It will open up a side panel bar over here, and it will give you this box here in the center along with a toolbar on the right-hand side or maybe at the top of your screen, depending on options that you may have chosen. Once you have that dashboard that opens up, I just clicked off of it. Once you have that dashboard that opens up, this box here in the center, you'll notice that you can easily just close it, or you can use it as a quick jumping off or getting started point for using the program. It gives you an option to create a new flip chart, but let me just caution you that when you open the ActivInspire software, the first thing you're going to get is a blank flip chart. So should you click this button again, it will give you another blank untitled flip chart. So now you have two. It also keeps a list of the most recently opened lessons, files, or flip charts that you have. It gives you the ability to import lessons from Smart Notebook files, should you have used those previously. And it gives you some other tool access on the left-hand side of the screen as well. One of the popular tools that I just want to point out that's right here from the ActivInspire dashboard is this one right here called Annotate Over Desktop. Notice it's a blue box with a black squiggly line in the middle. And when I click that box, it actually minimizes the ActivInspire flip chart. It keeps my big toolboxes open though for me. I'm going to actually close this big side panel toolbox here that popped open. And you'll notice that it's taken me out to the desktop of my computer and the web page that I was last on, and it's given me access to my toolbar over on the right-hand side. And this is great because now I can do some quick markups on a website and maybe direct students' attention to a certain location or place. And then, of course, I can use my eraser to erase it. And maybe this is a website that has some math problems or science problems on it, and I just want to do a quick writing where we can solve problems on it right over top of the website and then use it to annotate and take away as well. Now, Desktop Annotate is a kind of a cool tool because it is actually a toggle button. You'll notice here on the main toolbar that same blue box with the black squiggly line in the middle, that is also the Desktop Annotate button. So if I'm in Desktop Annotate and I would like to go back to the flip chart view, the ActivInspire flip chart view, I simply click that button and it takes me back to where I was. So that is a toggle button. If you'd like to go to it, you click it again. If you want to get out of it, you click it again. All right. I'm going to bring back up my browsers. There we go. All right, so this is just taking us back to where we were before and getting started. So just to review real quickly, to open up the program after you've installed it, you will have this icon on your desktop. You're just going to double click the icon to get yourself rolling. The dashboard is the box that pops up every time you open the program. You can close it at any time or use it as a quick launching point to open up files that you already have existing in the program. Probably by now you've heard me say the word flip chart quite a few times. That's exactly what we call our files that we create in the ActivInspire software. They're known as flip charts. PowerPoint calls them PowerPoint presentations, Smart calls them Smart Notebook files, and we call ours flip charts. So that's just a little bit of the terminology for you when you're thinking about our types of software. This page here is great because it gives you a great little overview of the actual ActivInspire flip chart page. So I'll just sort of go through these with you. Over here on this side, you notice this panel on the left-hand side. This is called a browser window. It's a big, long panel that opens up when you open the software. At the very top of it, on the dark gray bar at the tip top, you'll notice mine says Page Browser. That is because I'm in the page browser icon, which is the first icon on the left-hand side at the top. If I click the icon to the right of that, you'll now notice that I'm in the resource browser and so on. So each one of these is a different submenu of the browser menu. The cool thing about the browser menu is you can always close the browser menu out to give yourself a little bit more real estate on your panel as you're teaching. So more than likely, I wouldn't have that side panel open while I was teaching. That's just me, my personal preference. You may like to have that open so you can navigate pages, but you can also turn pages in your lesson by using the page turn arrows over on your main toolbar. The menu bar. So the menu bar is what floats across the top of your screen. At the very tip top, it's the File, Edit, View, Insert, Tools, and Help. We call that our menu bar. It's a very common type of menu bar that you've probably seen in other programs and are familiar with interacting. The other thing that we'll sort of show you is that we have what's called flip chart tabs. That's the name of these little tabs that are right below the menu. I've got this one open that I'm actually presenting from. Then I have an untitled one. I have another untitled one. And then actually I have the desktop flip chart one that it makes a little file tab for. So the cool thing about our program is you can have multiple lessons open at one time or multiple flip charts open at one time, and you can just toggle between them as you're teaching. Over here on the far right, top of the page, we have what's called our page information in the ActivInspire software. It gives me information such as what page I'm on, lets me know if there are any page notes associated with the page that I'm on, and gives me information on how the page is actually fitting in the screen space available to me. So right now I'm using best fit, but I could always change it to fit to width or fit to height and go from there. But I like my best fit. It seems to be the best. Kind of gets everything in there for you. Over here on the far right, we'll notice this is what we call our main toolbar, this guy right here. The main toolbar can be relocated real easily. You can grab it by the black bar at the top and drag it around your screen if you want to move it or relocate it. But there are also some quick tools across the top of this main toolbar. The first one looks like a little gray box. That's called the Toolbox Options button. And when you click it, you've got options for where you'd like to dock your toolbar. So if your panel is at a height that may be a little too high for little ones in the classroom or young kids, you can always dock the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. That way it's easy for them to reach. Should you dock it at the bottom, you're going to look for that same little icon, that little box icon, that's the toolbar option box, and click it again, and then you can choose to move it elsewhere. So some teachers prefer to have it docked at the top of their screen or docked to the left or to the right, depending on if they're left or right-handed. And then lastly, your trash can. Oh no, where's my trash can? You guys don't even see it on here, do you? Here's a little trick of the trade in ActivInspire. Anytime you can't see something that you think you should be able to see, just simply head over to the View menu. By heading to the View menu, that'll give you options for seeing objects again. So my trash can is right there. There it is. Here's my trash can. So the trash can is a tool that you can use to kind of toss things away. So if I drag and drop anything into my trash can, it will be thrown away. If I decide that I didn't mean to do that, I didn't want to throw those away, there are undo and redo buttons on your main toolbar, the little ribbons that scroll left and right. Just simply click an undo button, and it will continue to undo those for you, so you can pull those tools back out and use those, or those objects back out and use them. As you notice, my trash can wasn't originally on my screen. That's because I don't like to use it very often. I find that kids just like to throw everything away, even things I don't want them to throw away. So I take the trash can off my screen while I'm using it with kids. But it's certainly there as an option for you. And I mentioned before we had that big old browser window up. You guys remember that? And you'll notice that I closed it so I could give myself a little bit more space on my panel and it wasn't impeding the view of anything. Just for a reference, if you should want to recall that or bring that guy back up, remember, if you can't see it, you need to go to the View menu so you can view it again. So we just go to View, and we scroll down until we see Browsers, and we can pull that side panel back up again as well. This provides us the first panel, that the browser that we're in here called the Page Browser, as it indicates across the top, provides us with a list of all the pages in our lesson. We can certainly navigate through them by clicking on them here, or we can turn the page turn arrows over on our main toolbar. All right, let's talk about some tools to get you started. Let's talk about the pen tool and the annotation tools, and then let's talk about some images and resources and some basic adding text. And then I'll show you where there are some additional professional development tools that you can access as you become more proficient using the software. So starting with our annotation tools, our pen, our highlighter, and our eraser. All three of those are sort of living on the main toolbar. And they also, I'm going to close this out because I think it's confusing when you see my main toolbar. But they also, as they live on the main toolbar, they also have some unique capabilities. If you click on the pen tool, you have the ability to choose from preset widths or thicknesses of pen. So that's the thickest preset, that's the thinnest preset. You can also create a custom width or thickness to the pen by just choosing to slide the slider bar left or right. Okay? The same goes for the highlighter. You can highlight with any color, so you can choose different colors, and then you can also choose different widths or thicknesses, or even create a custom width or thickness to your highlighter. Okay? The eraser will erase all of those. It will erase the highlighter and the pen tool, so it will erase every bit of those. And you can, again, choose different sizes to that eraser if you just slide the slider bar or use the preset ones as well. So those are just some quick tips for using the annotation tools. Let's talk a little bit about the resource browser because I want to show you where there's some great teaching tools and resources that you can use in your lesson. The first is if you look at this browser bar on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side of my screen here, directly next to the page, stack of pages, you'll see a music note with a little action board, which you might have looks familiar from like a movie set or screen set. That's called the Resource Browser tab button. When you click that button, it gives you access to these shared folders. So the shared folders are located underneath the three heads. So if you click on those three heads right here, it's going to take you into a shared folder structure. And there's a whole bunch of those folders in here with some resources available to you to use while you're creating lessons. I'm going to point out some of my favorites. If you take a look at the Activities and Templates folder, there's some really great resources in here under Activities. Depending on the age level of kids that you're working with or kiddos that you're teaching, I'm going to click on the hundredths grid here, and I just went to my blank untitled page here to show you. So I'm just going to drag and drop that resource out onto my screen. This is just a great hundredths chart with lots of little manipulatives that we can move around on the screen space and do different activities with. If I scroll down in the Activities folder, you'll see here that there's some other content. Let's see, there's a periodic table. This is actually a very interactive periodic table. You can see that as I scroll over the elements, it gives me data for the elements and information and statistics. But I can click on any one of these elements and get a more visual bit of information. And each of these elements has different tabs down at the bottom. So there's data tabs, so I can get data on the element, property tabs where I can hover over and get properties or uses for that particular element. So all of those tabs can be visible down at the bottom and interactive at the same time. can also see here that we can look at different categories of elements by just toggling within this particular activity. So Promethean provides a whole wealth of different resources that are ready-made, tools and activities right in the program that I would encourage you to take advantage of and take a look at in the resource browser. I'm going to show you one of my favorite ones. I'm going to go into the subject folder here. The subject folder, when you scroll down, will have a couple of different folders broken down into curricular areas, so art, biology, life science, chemistry, general, so all these different categories here. I'm going to go into biology and life science. I think I mentioned I was a former science teacher, so it's sort of my area of expertise, if you will. I'm going to click on where it says life cycle. I'm going to go into the life cycle. And look, I've got some great images of some different animals and life cycles. And I'm going to choose this one right here, this frog life cycle. And I'm just going to drag it out on my screen space. Anytime you drag and drop an image, an object out onto your space, you've got tools to be able to resize it and kind of make it fit into whatever other content that you're going to show on the screen at that time. I'm going to show you a quick little trick. So we talked about how to use the pen tool and the eraser tool, and I just showed you how you can pull out an object and put it on your screen space. So now I'm just going to go over to my main toolbar. I'm going to click on my pen tool. I'm going to choose white as my color. Maybe not that big. That's kind of big. That's a big color there. And I'm going to make a little whiteout tool. So I'm basically going to have a white pen that's going to white out the labels on this page for me. And so by whiting out these labels, I can use this lesson now and have my students come up and maybe fill in or name or label these images in the different phases of a frog's life. But also while I'm teaching or instructing, I could use it as a reveal. So I could click on my eraser tool and I could just use it as a reveal to simply reveal the name of each of these as we go around. And that would be kind of fun to do as well. So that's just a real easy way just to use the pen tool and the eraser tool along with an image from the resource browser. All right, so while we're here, let's talk about maybe adding some text to the page. When we talk about adding text to the screen, we're simply just going to use our arrow tool, our select tool from our main toolbar. And when we do that, just move it out over your screen space and just start typing some text. So I'm just going to start typing on my screen by going to my keyboard on my computer. And by simply doing that, the program is intelligent enough to sort of know that if I'm going to my keyboard using the mouse cursor, that I must want to add some text or some typing out onto the screen space. Please note that once I start typing and it creates this text box, I can move this text box wherever I'd like. But also, really more importantly, at the very tip top of my screen, please note that, I'm going to close this, please note that there was this big bar that pops up. This is my text edit toolbar. So it lets me do things such as change the font, font type, font size, all that good stuff. Just like any other program, if you want to change the font, make sure you highlight that text, especially if you've already typed it, and then you can begin to go in and perhaps change the font and font size. If you are encountering where the text is wrapping because the text box isn't big enough, just simply grab that little bubble and stretch that text box out. You can even change the color of the text by clicking on the text color box and choosing a different color that's to your liking, okay? So let me go back to this page here, and maybe on this page I would like to add a title. So maybe it will say something like Life Cycle of the Frog. So again, I'm going to go back to my main menu bar my main toolbar over on the right-hand side. I'm going to select my arrow key, my arrow button here. We call that the select button. I like to call it my mouse button. It reminds me of a mouse on my computer. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to move it over the blank white space on my screen. I'm just going to start typing Life Cycle of Frog. There we go. And if I don't like that color, I can highlight it and make it a different color, and we can go from there. So just a great way to kind of get started with teaching. Just a couple of quick tips for you guys as you're on the call tonight. All right, so I already shared with you some of my favorite resource examples, but let's talk about how you can pull in your own resources. So many of you probably already have some great PowerPoints, maybe some PDF documents or worksheets that you use in the classroom, or Smart Notebook files. You can import all of those simply by going to the File menu at the very tip top of your screen and scrolling down to where it says Import, and you'll see the ability to import each of those from that standpoint. If you're on a Mac computer, you will not see the option to import PowerPoint, but if you're on a PC, you will see that option to import PowerPoint. And importing PDFs, again, just as simple, and importing Smart Notebook files as well. All right, let me talk to you a little bit about Promethean Planet, because although we've got some great resources right in the ActivInspire software, there's more where that comes from is all I have to say. If you're unfamiliar with Promethean Planet, you're going to love it. It's a great tool for teachers. It's a great free share site where teachers can share their lessons and ideas right on our website. So I'm going to skip over to Promethean Planet here. The Promethean Planet website is simply prometheanplanet.com. It is a teacher share website. So when you first come to the prometheanplanet.com site, you're going to want to register and get yourself a username and a password. Once you have your username and password, you can certainly explore the site and begin downloading content on here for free. So while we're here, let me just show you a couple of things. There's a menu bar across the very tip top of the site once you're here. And the Professional Development tab has some free training resources that you may want to access at a later date as you progress through using the software and hardware. I just clicked on the free training resources and it brought me to this page right here. You'll notice that the first thing you see are some getting started videos. There are two different versions of the getting started videos. I have been using up to this point the ActivInspire Software Studio look and feel, so the second one right here. So if you click on that, you'll notice it will take you into a video-based series. They are broken into categories of tabs here at the bottom. Each tab has a series. Oops. Volume is up. Each of the tabs has a series of videos that correlates to it. These videos are short, about a minute, 43 seconds this one, so super short little tips and tricks on how to work within each aspect of the software. This is a great primer video for getting you guys up and running with the ActivInspire software as you begin learning the program. Additionally, to the Getting Started videos, you've got access to these active tip videos. There are 115 active tip videos, and these are fabulous and really born out of the idea that while there are great features and tools and aspects of the ActivInspire software, how do we apply those to curriculum and teaching and learning? So these videos really are a curricular slant approach to utilizing the tools and features of the ActivInspire software, and they show you how to use those tools, but also do it in a way that applies it to the content or curriculum that a particular teacher was using during a lesson. So a really great way to sort of look. Again, there are 115. You can scroll back and forth on these by clicking on the little arrow over on the right-hand side to get to video number 1. Or if you have a particular topic that you want to search for, like toolbar, you can click on toolbar, or you can type in the word toolbar in the search engine here, and it will tell you that there are 2 videos, and when you scroll down, you'll see those 2 videos that reference the toolbar, so you can watch just those. So there are lots of great resources available to all of our folks on the Professional Development tab here as well. But let's be real, most teachers come to Promethean Planet for the thousands and thousands of great free resources. So let's talk about those resources. You can certainly search the resources by going to the Resource tab and then looking at the different categories or even drilling down a little bit further. But I find sometimes the easiest way to just search for a resource is simply go to the search bar and type in the topic. So if I were to type in the word fraction here in the search bar and then click the search button, it will automatically search all of our library of resources. It now is showing me that there are 609 resources on fractions, and I have a current search parameter of fractions in the U.S. and the English language. But I can come down here and maybe pare down that search a little bit, maybe limit it to a certain grade level, maybe first or second grade, and see what we can come up with. If I limit it just first and second grade, I just went from 600 resources to about 120. So that's a little bit more manageable. And certainly I can add in more limiting criteria here on the left. But also please note that on Promethean Planet, teachers have the ability to upload various types of files. They can upload images, Excel, PowerPoint, Word documents, PDF documents, all kinds of resources that they can share with you guys as other educators. So it may be helpful if you're just looking for a Promethean flip chart, the ones that work in our ActivInspire software, you may just want to click on that. And by clicking on that, that may limit it down. Look, now we're just down to 96 resources, so that's even better. So you get a quick view. When you find a resource that sounds enticing, you have the ability to even sort further in the list structure by maybe the highest rated or the most downloaded or the most favorited. So you've got some resource options there as well. If one looks good to you or usable perhaps, you can always choose to preview it. By clicking preview, it will take you to a slideshow that will give you a quick scroll through of the lesson and show you visually what each page looks like of the lesson. If that looks good to you, you can read the description and any other reviews of the particular lesson, and then choose to go ahead and download it from here. Once you download a lesson, it's yours. You can edit it, modify it, change it, even resubmit it as something that you have made modifications to our site for others to be able to take advantage of. So you can see here I've downloaded this pizza fraction party. I'm just going to click it to open it, and it's going to open it right in ActivInspire. And now I've got the opportunity to sort of scroll through the pages and take a look at all these pages, maybe even read notes on each of the pages to find out what the person who created it intended for me to do. And then I've got a ready-made lesson that I can use. Or perhaps I might need to modify it a little bit just to make it work for my class. But this would be kind of a fun lesson for the kids to practice making pizza with different fraction sets in their lesson. So let's pop back to the Promethean Planet site here. So Promethean Planet, all in all, has a lot of great tools and resources available for teachers to be able to pull resources and access other teachers in professional development and training, even through perhaps our blogs and forums as well. So hopefully you'll find that really useful as you navigate through using the Promethean suite of programs. All right. All right, the next tool I want to talk to you about is ClassFlow. I don't know if you're familiar with ClassFlow or have heard of ClassFlow, but ClassFlow is phenomenal. It is a great teaching tool that allows you to do all of your planning, preparation, and delivery of content in a web-based, cloud-based program. It allows you to store all your content digitally in the cloud. You don't have to worry about transporting files back and forth or carrying flash drives or even laptops for that matter, because everything will be stored in the cloud for you. ClassFlow is a really great bridge if you're using one-to-one devices in the classroom, or students are allowed to do BYOD, or you have laptop carts or iPad carts or anything of that nature. Any kind of student device that has the capabilities of having a web browser and internet connectivity, you're going to love ClassFlow. It's a really great tool. So instead of me kind of showing you some splash pages, let's actually go to ClassFlow. I've got it pulled up here. ClassFlow.com is the website, so I encourage you to definitely take a look at ClassFlow.com. ClassFlow, when you first come to the site, allows you to do lots of things. I mentioned before, create, deliver content, you can collaborate, and you can also provide rewards, which is sort of cool. So we've got some badging capabilities and whatnot available on the ClassFlow.com site. I'm going to go ahead and click Login, so I want to show you guys what ClassFlow looks like from a teacher perspective. If you're new to ClassFlow, go ahead and sign up and get your free account today so you can begin using it at ClassFlow.com. Once teachers have their free account set up and they're logged in, you can also have students log in and create their own accounts. So the great thing about students being able to have their own accounts is students have free cloud storage space they have access to. Students are able to create notebooks while teachers are teaching lessons in a digital format and keep up with their notebooks so they can access anywhere, anytime they have internet access and are able to log into ClassFlow.com using their username and password. And more importantly, students are able to connect their lesson, connect to the lesson that their teacher is teaching, I should say. When you log into ClassFlow, so you can see here I'm logged in now, and you'll see down at the bottom here that if I click on where it says Create, I've got all these different options of things I can create. I can create lessons, assessments, assignments, courses, learning packs, and item banks. And if I'm not sure how to create something, I can click on Show Me How, and it's going to show me how in a video segment how to create an assessment. So it's a really great tool as far as the Create button is concerned. The same goes for Deliver, Collaborate, Reward, Manage, and Report. So I've got a great tool set as a teacher built right into the ClassFlow offering. All right, in ClassFlow, as a teacher, you have the ability to set up classes. And this becomes really beneficial if you've got different class segments. If you're in an elementary setting, you can set up one class. So you can have just one class of students, and you can choose a couple of different options by setting up your classes. You can either input rosters as a teacher, or you can have the students log into your class with a roster. So I'm just going to demonstrate this very quickly by going to, I'm going to create a class here called 5th period. And where it says roster type, I'm going to choose to have a student-generated roster type by clicking on student-generated. If I choose student-generated and then I choose save, what that means is students can create their own login to this site by going to classflow.com and choosing sign up. And then all I need to do is give my students this code right here. And by giving them this code, they now can have access to content that I choose to provide for them in their own account. I can even create assignments for my students and have them work on them outside of the classroom environment. So ClassFlow is a very robust platform that allows for me to teach the way I'd like to teach and allows my students to use their devices in the process. I just clicked on the My Resources tab at the top of my screen here, and I want you to note that as I do that, over on the right-hand side, there's lots of help interaction components. If it's a My Resource tab that I'm on and I click the little drop-down arrow next to the question, I'm going to get a list of video help underneath My Resources that's specific. Also note that there's a question mark here that lets me interact with our ClassFlow team and start a conversation with our ClassFlow team if I need in-the-moment assistance. Many of you can just search for resources that you may like. We have a great community of teachers that have created content, and you can quickly search for content around your particular curriculum area by clicking on the classflow.com community and then searching at the top. We also have some great ClassFlow resources that are built in, including, I'm going to drop down this menu here, including some exemplary lessons that we have created for you all in different curricular areas and broken down into different grade levels. And once you find something that you like, you simply select it. You can preview it, do a full preview of it, and simply scroll through the lesson to get a great view of the content in the lesson and the different materials and resources that are available. There we go, loading now. And then you can copy this lesson and have it be added right into your particular My Resource folder at the top. Once you have a lesson that you are like or that's loaded into your resources, you're able to click on that lesson and then choose to deliver that lesson right from your folder. So if I were to go to my, not my English language, my declaration folder here, and I've got my Declaration of Independence lesson that I like to teach, I can choose to now deliver that lesson to my students. And my students, because they have their own unique logins, are then able to track my lesson as I'm teaching and instructing it. So here's a great example, my students being able to log in to my lesson on their personal devices and be able to follow along as I'm teaching. And you can see here I don't have any students logged in, but I can click up here on this button to get more information about how my students can log in if they're not already logged in, or how they can just log in using their own username and password. There are great tools over here on the right-hand side of my screen that I can use up on my panel as I'm teaching my lesson. Tools like this one right here, which allows me to send this particular page out to all of my students. And then this tool right here allows me to question or poll my class if there are students that are logged into my lesson at any given time. So this tool for teaching and learning is just really phenomenal, quite robust. There are lots and lots of great resources available within the ClassFlow environment, but I also want to point out to you if ClassFlow is something that you're interested in exploring more of, we've got a playlist of videos on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/myclassflow, right there, myclassflow, and you'll see here that there's a playlist button, and right here we've got 71 little videos. They're really short little video clips, all on different topics surrounding ClassFlow and getting started with ClassFlow 4.0 and the ClassFlow 4.0 environment. And I think you're really going to like ClassFlow, so I would definitely recommend everyone checking it out. We will be hosting more and more informational videos and sessions on ClassFlow in the future, so please keep in touch with us as we move through that. All right, let me jump back here to our presentation, and I'm just going to skip through some of these slide pages here and just sort of finish up with definitely check out classflow.com, set up your free account with your username and password. Begin sharing it with your students, get your students involved. It's a super awesome way to just deliver content, instruct, and teach in the moment, and be able to assess students as well on their devices. So lots of great video resources at youtube.com/myclassflow. All right, that brings us to about our time being up here today. Again, I'm Wendy, and here's my email address. So I hope that this is a great little getting started video, at least kind of share with you some of the tools that are available through Promethean. I'm also going to let you know that at the conclusion of this WebEx, you will receive a WebEx link that will take you to 2 documents, actually. One is a document that lists all of our additional upcoming webinars. So if you have a colleague that you would like to suggest jump in on one of these webinars to get a quick, getting started snapshot, I would encourage you to share that document with them. Or if you just want to jump on another one just for a refresher, feel free to join me again. But you'll also get access to this little letter here that welcomes you to your ActivPanel Touch. It's got lots of great little links, images, videos, websites, documents, all kinds of great things that will help get you started using your ActivPanel today and getting you involved with the Promethean modern classroom. So I hope this has been beneficial. If you have any questions, feel free to place those in the question and answer tab now, and I will take a look at those right now. So one question just came in. It says, can students send their work back to you in ClassFlow? If I send a card out to them, can they complete it and send it back to me? And how do I know how they did on the card? Yes, absolutely. So you can create the ability for students to send content back and forth on cards. In the polling mechanism, one of the polling questions is create a creative card, and that's a really cool way for students to send content back and forth. Let me actually I'm going to log in really quickly. I've got a couple minutes here, so I'm going to log in as a student. That way you guys can see what it looks like as a student logging in, and then how the student would actually play in the lesson field a little bit in ClassFlow. Didn't see any other questions there. Let me jump back over to my teacher view of my ClassFlow here. All right, Carlton Camel here. Let me jump over here. Safari, good. All right, so I'm in Safari. I've got Safari on 1. I'm going to log in as a student here. So students just go to log in as well. All right, so this is my student Carlton Camel who just logged in. So you can see here Carlton's being welcomed. And I can see here that Carlton he can see that these are all of his classes, and that he's currently, right now he's in my 3rd period class, and that's the class that I'm playing a lesson for. So I actually, as a teacher, am playing a live lesson right now for my 3rd period class. So I have this lesson in presenter mode, so I'm ready to kind of rock and roll with my students in the classroom. And so what Carlton can do, that's not the one with Carlton on it, there he is, there's Safari. What Carlton can do is he can join my class while it's in session, and then this is where the teacher can choose to send content back and forth. So this particular card has some content associated with it so that Carlton's able to see an exit ticket on his screen while the teacher is showing different content on his or her screen. And so as I scroll through, I can see here I've got one student connected at the top. I can force send out or manually send out cards to Carlton's screen. So you can see here that his is mirroring mine now. And then I can use it to poll Carlton. So I can choose to start a poll or ask any of these types of questions. And if I choose to do something like a creative response poll, I can click on creative response, and then Carlton will actually have access to some tools. So Carlton can provide me a drawing, maybe use a camera tool on his device or her device, maybe provide some text, in constructing a response to an answer and place it on the card. There it is, right there. And maybe they need to move that response because it needs to be seen by the teacher. And then when they're done, they can choose to submit their answer and down at the bottom of the screen here. And when they submit their response, what the teacher will see up at their front is that all the students have responded to the poll, and they can click on this, and as students are sending in their creative responses, they're going to see them populated on the bottom of their screen along with their name. If they were asking different types of questions, so instead of this type of a question, I'm going to stop this poll. If the teacher were asking something along the lines of a multiple choice question or fill in the blank answer question, they would choose the number of multiple choice options there. And then on Carlton's screen, he would see A or B, and then the ability to submit at the bottom here. And again, the teacher would be able to see that either there's a pending response or the student has responded. I think I submitted it. There we go, submit. Just taking a second to come through over here. So we'll be able to see Carlton's responses come in. Once the student's responses come in, you're able to toggle to different views over on the other side of your screen as well from different graphical views. So hopefully that answered the question. Are there any other questions this evening? You can also create assignments that students can do on their own and upload different content to the assignments. You can even upload an assessment to the assignment. So there's lots of different reasons, lots of different types of content that you can upload. Let's see if there's any other. Okay, so one of the other questions I received is there a reason the freeze button wouldn't work? I'm having trouble with it. It seems like an easy push that simply won't work for me. I'm assuming that that question is in reference to the freeze button on the remote. I don't know that there would be a reason for it not to work, but I would definitely suggest if it's not working for you, maybe perhaps reach out and give a contact to our support team. You can contact our support team by going to the support.prometheanworld.com. You can either contact us via email or via phone and find out. How do you launch a Promethean Planet activity once you edit it? So once you download a Promethean Planet activity and you have it on in your ActivInspire software, you can then make changes to it by simply clicking on and making edit changes to it. Once you've edited or changed things within it, then you can continue just to teach with it. So it's just more like a live presentation tool that once you edit it, you can then do a file save as and save it however you'd like it to be able to continue to use it. I hope that makes sense. I'm not sure if that's what the question was asking. Okay, are there any other questions? You guys a second or so to type in if you're typing. Okay, I'm not seeing anything else come in. Let's see. Oh, and I got one more. Are Promethean Planet lessons able to be used in ClassFlow? And the answer is yes, absolutely. So, great question. I'm going to close my Carlton's view here, and let's go into the teacher view here. So I'm back in ClassFlow right now in teacher view, and I'm still in that lesson that I was teaching before. So let me back out of here real quick and close that, stop the poll. So I'm going to exit out of this presenter mode right here for just a second, guys. So I'm going to click out of the exit button, and I want to show you that although there's lots of great resources you can search for, if you can't find exactly what you're looking for, you've got lots of your own great resources. Click on the New button underneath the My Resource tab as a teacher, and you can create all of these different types of new resources. But more importantly, you can upload your pre-existing resources. So any files you have, PowerPoints, Word documents, PDFs, Promethean flip charts, Smart Notebook files, So definitely, if you've got some great resources, you can go ahead and upload those into ClassFlow and be able to use those lessons right in ClassFlow and have that kind of communication with your student devices. Yeah, great question. Let's see. How do you launch Promethean Planet lessons to use with the class? I'm not sure if I understand the question. If you're referencing how do you launch Promethean Planet lessons to use with the class, does that mean within ActivInspire or within ClassFlow? If you're referencing it from ActivInspire, you just simply download it. And if you've got the ActivInspire software open or installed on the computer that you're using, you can open it once you've downloaded the lesson and be able to then use it immediately in ActivInspire. It will automatically open and be ready to rock and roll, if you will. If you want to use it in ClassFlow, you'll need to download it so that you've got it saved on your computer somewhere. Log into classflow.com, go to My Resources, New, and do flip chart upload, and then find that resource. So, for example, the one I just downloaded is in my downloads folder. I forget what it was called off the top of my head now. Oh gosh, what was it called? It's fractions, I think. I got too much in my download folder, obviously. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, I'm just going to pick one of these because I can't remember what it was called, but I have some other resources in here. So if I have the file saved, I can click Open, and it will go ahead and import it into my into my ClassFlow account for me. So you can see down here it's uploading the ActivInspire flip chart into my ClassFlow account, and then once it's completed, it will be in my ClassFlow resource folder. Perfect. So now I can search for Find More Power. It's still loading on the back end. I'm thinking. There it goes. Okay, so here's the lesson I just downloaded, or uploaded, I should say, into ClassFlow. And so now I can deliver this one to my third period class. And you'll see that all of my ActivInspire flip chart pages come in as single pages in the lesson for me to be able to use. There we go. Let's see what she had on my page. Still loading. There we go. So it's just a training flip chart that we've used in the past. So hopefully that answers that question. Let's see. All right, do I always have the same ClassFlow number for my class? Times it will pull up my kids' names, and other times I get a different code and no class list. Okay, so you want to make sure that when you play the lesson that you always play it for a class that you've either created. If you choose to play it in what's called ad hoc mode or present it in ad hoc mode, that's when you won't necessarily get a class list. So if I were to play this particular lesson, for example, if I were to click on a lesson and choose Deliver and choose to play it in an ad hoc session, which means for no class, then that's where you'll just see a class code that pops up. And that you wouldn't actually see the kids' particular name. So if you choose to play it for a particular class, then you will see their names. Now, there are two ways that classes can be registered in ClassFlow. The teacher can either create the class, which means students don't log in with their username and password when they go to classflow.com. If teachers create the class, then students just go to classflow.com/student and they input a code. if you create a class and you create a student-generated class where students have their own usernames and passwords and they're setting up their own user account, then you wouldn't need to go to classflow.com/student at all. Students would just log in using their username and password to the Classflow site, and then they would select your class from the drop-down list and go ahead and select join if you're in the middle of teaching, and therefore they wouldn't have to input a class code at all. So there are really 3 different ways that you can sort of access or participate in a teacher-led class in Classflow. One is either ad hoc, one is with a class but a teacher-generated class, and the other is with a class that has been a student-generated class. And they all have slightly different login techniques, if you will. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, let's see if I have any other questions here. I think that I answered all of them. Let me know if you have any more questions. If you have any questions after the fact, please feel free to email me at wendy.zuber@maintainworld.com. Let me throw that email back up here for you guys. And again, you'll be receiving a document with some resources at the end, and I hope that this was really helpful. I really appreciate you guys spending your evening with me, or afternoon, depending on where you are. All right, guys, have a great one. Enjoy your active panels. Thanks so much.